Okay, so I was going to start this whole thing with some really positive stuff, but something's just come up on the forums that's just set me off. So first you're going to get a rant, and then we'll get to the other stuff. So hang on a sec, let me just take a look and see who it was, because I can't remember who made the post. Okay, Patorium, right? He made a post basically talking about the communication on the official EA forums, and Kip's post about, you know, getting the devs to the forums and, you know, pushing those guys, you know, to communicate to the player base, which it's got to be said is just bullshit. The devs came to the forums shortly after that for like one day. They answered like 2 questions and then they just disappeared, and we haven't seen those guys since. And if there's one thing that pisses me off more than anything else, it's the total lack of communication with the player base. It's completely unjustified, and given the state of the game, it's just ridiculous. I mean, if there's one thing that they need to be doing right now, it's talking to us. You know, finding out what are really the issues, because they seem to live in some cloud cuckoo land. They don't seem to be playing the same game that we're playing. They don't know about the problems that we're facing. And then we get this complete crap about we're playing the game wrong. You know, because they haven't communicated to us how we're supposed to play the game, which is just another line of bullshit. I could go on about this for hours, because this really sets me off. This really annoys me, and I'm sure it annoys a hell of a lot of you people. And if it does annoy you, post a comment, let me know, you know, and you know, maybe we'll get something going. But the lack of communication is completely unforgivable by EA and Maxis. Get the devs in the forums. Get the devs talking to us. Okay. Rant off. Because that really gets my goat. Really does. Okay, on to something better. Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a shout out to somebody, which is a guy called Long MVU. I have no idea what that stands for. It's probably something disgusting. I've got a Long MVU. Nice for you, missus. He posted a comment against the Trade Depot video, which I got done today, which was excellent. And he posted a comment, 2 words, very useful. And you know what? That's the best compliment that I can receive, because that's what these videos are all about. It's just trying to get something helpful out there, you know, something that's going to make this game a little bit more playable for somebody. And if I could do that, then I've achieved my goal and I'm a happy man. So, Long MVU, thank you, sir, much appreciated. So talking about the Trade Depot video was really interesting, because when I put it out there, it raised that there were a lot of people who really didn't understand the mechanism of the Trade Depot. So that was really great that we got it out there, and it opened up a really good dialogue about importing and exporting, and how also freight works, because there seem to be some misconceptions about the whole freight thing. So let's just run through the supply chain. Okay, so let's say you're importing. The global market, and I'm going to call the region and the global market the same thing. Use them interchangeably. Okay, so the region sends its trucks to your trade depot, right? Or their ships to your trade port or their trains to your freight depot. They get the goods to you, right? Once the goods are in your port or trade depot, you then have to move those goods to wherever they need to be, and that's where your delivery trucks come in. So the delivery trucks that are in your trade depot or your trade port, they are what get the goods to the processor factory or the refinery or wherever the goods are going. Same with exports. You're manufacturing TVs. You have to get the goods from the factory to the trade depot. Okay? Now that's accomplished by the delivery trucks of the factory. Okay? So the factory sends its goods, TVs, computers, whatever it may be, fuel, refined stuff, smelted goods, send those to the port or the trade depot, and then the trade depot doesn't do anything. And this is why if you're exporting with a trade depot or a trade port, you don't need any delivery trucks, because the region, the global trade, comes and collects them from you. Okay? So that's the supply chain. Talking about freight, freight was a separate issue. There seems to be a misunderstanding about how freight that's produced by your zoned industry gets distributed. It should get distributed to primarily your zoned commercial. It's also used by some industrial specialization buildings. Now, in an ideal world, RCI would all be connected, and your freight, you would balance your industry and your commercial, and your industry would supply your commerce with all the freight, and we'd have a pretty interesting game to play. But they made the decision to break the link between industry and commerce, so that magically commercial buildings get their goods restocked overnight from nowhere. Okay, now why they did this? Well, my understanding is that each of the residential, industrial and commercial had two dependencies. Residential needed either industry or commerce for jobs and commerce for shopping. Industry needed commerce to distribute freight, and it needed residential for jobs. And commerce needed residential for workers, and it needed shoppers, which is also residential. So each of them had two dependencies. As far as I know, they didn't want to add a third dependency to commercial. Why? Well, excuse my French, guys, but it beats the shit out of me. It's the whole point. I mean, that's the way the system works, and I don't see why they needed to break that. Well, okay, go figure. But that's what we've got to live with. But the misunderstanding seems to be that people think that you need a freight depot in order to distribute your freight. You don't. Zoned industrial buildings have their own delivery trucks, and they will deliver to your commercial buildings or to your industrial specialized buildings or wherever. So that at least is in place, and if you want to, you can balance your commerce and industry and supply your commerce with the freight But it's kind of pointless, because with that link disconnected, well, who the hell cares? And this is why people build cities which are just R and C, for example. Now, I think you should be able to build cities which are just residential and commercial, for example. But there's got to be an offset. There's got to be a balance. There's got to be something on the other side of that. Where are the goods coming from? Where's the freight coming from? Now, can you ship it in from another city? Okay, great. I mean, the mechanisms at the moment are all broken, so it'd be kind of nice if that worked. Or maybe there's some other way that they could put in to provide that feed of goods into the commercial side. Would be nice. It's not there. I can't see it's ever going to be there. I'd be interested to hear what you guys say. You know, put some comments. Tell me what you think. We'll maybe talk about it another time. Okay, so time's rolling on, so I'm not going to keep going on about this, but it's been a really, really interesting discussion. And that's what I'd like to see more of in the forums. You know, we've gone through months of moaning about how broken the game is, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and it is. But if we want to play the game, and personally, I want to play the game. You know, I think if you look at this is a great game screaming to get out of SimCity 2013. But it's being kept locked away inside by all of the crap that surrounds it, all of the bugs, you know, the lack of communication about, well, what really is their vision? You know, they say they've got a vision, but, you know, every time that they talk about this vision, it seems more and more divorced from reality. And of course, we can't engage in a dialogue with them because they're not in the forums. So, get your asses back in the forums, start the dialogue, talk to us about your vision. I want to see more dialogue between us, at least, because that's something that we can do. We can't force them to come back into the forums, but we can talk in the forums. There's bound to be tons of stuff that I don't know about, that I want to learn about the game, and the only way that's going to happen is if people are raising stuff, you know, producing guides, producing, you know, tips and tricks. Hey, I find out how to do this. And don't assume that just because, you know, something seems obvious, that everybody knows it. I mean, that was my lesson today. If there's one thing I learned today, it's that, you know, don't assume that everybody knows everything, because we don't. So, you know, guys, get out there, get into the forums, and start throwing stuff out there. Say, hey, you know, did you know about this? You know, and if people know, great. If they don't, well, hey, you know, you've taught somebody something. That's a good thing. So I'm going to carry on producing these guides. I want to get more feedback from you guys. So, you know, please, you know, throw the comments in there. Let me know what you want me to talk about in podcasts. What videos you want me to produce. You know, like, is there a particular building that, you know, you'd like me to do a video about? Is there a particular, like, game strategy? Do you want me to do something on casinos, tourism? I'd like to do an oil one, because I actually find oil towns, don't ask me why, I find oil towns actually quite fun to play around with. It's one of the few areas of the game that, you know, kind of sparks something creative in me, and I can just, you know, mold something and just play with it for the fun of what it looks like, rather than necessarily, you know, trying to make it produce millions and millions of dollars, or have a, you know, a gazillion population or something. I can do it, you know, just because it's kind of pretty and fun. Call me strange. Many people do. Okay, time's going off. Talked for way too long. So that's enough for today. Keep your comments coming in. Thanks for all the support, and peace out.